Hello, my name is Marcelo Freitas and I am here defending the preservation of the text of the New Testament using the line of transmission of Family 35. The subject of this video is 1 Timothy 3:16. The text says, "And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifested in flesh, justified in spirit, seen by angels." The word God appears in 98.5% of the Greek manuscripts, including Family 35. Therefore, we have no doubt in stating that the original text of the New Testament has the Greek word theos, but it is very common in manuscripts to have the so-called nomina sacra. They take the first letter of sacred names, which in our case is theta, the last letter, which in our case is sigma, and put a dash on the top that indicates it is an abbreviation. In the context that manuscripts were written, attempts to save ink or space would be considered legitimate. In both cases, the meaning of the text is 100% maintained. It means God. We think that the argument that 98.5% of the Greek manuscripts have God in itself, it is enough to identify the correct reading. It is a very large percentage. However, the critical or the eclectic text produced by Nassau Allen and United Bible Society, the NU, following 1% of the manuscripts, including the reading of the Codex Aleph, has hos. The word hos means who, which is grammatical nonsense. But how then did who appears in the Greek text? One of the possibilities is that, as the sacred name God, theta, sigma, and dash, differs from who, omicron, sigma, only in 2 dashes, Dr. Pickering sees the possibility that those 2 dashes were erased or that the ink faded through use and the word God changed into who. But why do we reject this reading? We basically use 2 arguments. The first argument, as stated, is that hos is not in the best line of transmission, which is Family 35. Further, it is in only 6 Greek manuscripts, which correspond to only 1%. The second argument is grammatical. There is a syntactic and a semantic problem. This reading violates the rules of Greek grammar, since hos is a masculine pronoun without a masculine antecedent, since the mystery is of the neutral gender. John William Bergen explained that to make the variant acceptable in the face of the grammatical error, instead of choosing what appears in 98.5% of the Greek manuscripts, some people say that this passage could quote a fragment of a hymn, but they do not inform what hymn it would have been. But with this possibility, they claim that they can ignore the grammatical problem we also have a semantic argument, a problem of meaning. The text speaks of a great mystery of godliness. When who is manifested in flesh, there is no mystery, since all human beings manifest in flesh. So, although the semantic problem exists, eclectic scholars claim that who refers to Jesus, but we emphasize that this cannot be proved from the text. It would be the result of a theological interpretation. We believe that this is one of the strongest passages that show the divinity of Jesus, since it expressly says that God was manifested in the flesh. This argument of Jesus' divinity should be positive, but for the eclectic, it becomes negative, since they say that the scribes would want to corrupt the text to declare Jesus' divinity. They would be the Orthodox scribes. But let's face it, with just 6 manuscripts, it would be more likely the other way around, to have some scribe wanting to take away the deity of Jesus in that verse. But I wish to stress that I do not wish in this video to blame any scribe's intention for the error. I said this just to show how dangerous it is, how reckless it is to say what the scribe was going to do or not do intentionally, what he wanted to do it on purpose. But if you do not know textual criticism, you may be asking yourself, why the eclectic text, Nesewalen and United Bible Society, would follow such a problematic word that does not make sense from either a grammatical or a semantic point of view, as we just explained, and would ignore 98.5% of the Greek manuscripts, reject 600 manuscripts, and follow 6 Greek manuscripts. Why would they follow only 1% of the Greek manuscripts? What is behind this is that if they printed God, they would be choosing a Byzantine reading. And one of the main assumptions of the eclecticists is that the oldest manuscripts, the Egyptian manuscripts, are the best. If the correct reading is God, at least in this passage, the oldest manuscripts, in this specific case, the Codex Aleph, would not be the best. And to make this evident, to make it clear that the older manuscripts are not the best, would not be of a good tone in the academic world or in theological seminaries. But I hope that with examples like these, the listener is already seeing how unfounded methods are that guides him to prefer precisely the oldest readings or the most difficult readings. In other words, the eclectic methodology itself guides the critic to distance himself from the correct text. English versions like ASV and NASB translate Hus as he, and New Living Translation, the NLT, even put Christ. In other words, they cannot give a straightforward translation of the Greek text that they are using, since it would not make sense, but they do not modify the Greek text they use. under penalty of assuming that the reading of the majority, the reading of Family 35, the Byzantine variant, the word present in 98.5% of the Greek manuscripts, is the best. But since the correct text, which is God, is known to everyone, they conclude by saying that the two options, theos and hos, refers to Jesus, or simply that hos does not deny the divinity of Jesus. It just does not expressly state it. But what they do not usually do is explain why the translation used sometimes does not correspond to what is written in their Greek text, and that there is a variant that dominates 98.5% of the Greek manuscripts that makes total sense. Let's put Dr. Pickering's critical apparatus that shows other readings from other manuscripts. They are equivalent to 0.5%. But since the other readings are not followed by any Greek text, we will not comment on them in order not to make the video long. In closing, we emphasize that the original text is God, and this reading is in 98.5% of the manuscripts, including Family 35. You can leave your comments. Dr. Pickering is my friend, and we are in this project together. We also have a book. Thank you very much.